Hey, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny, and this is If Loving You Is Wrong, Season 4, Episode 2, and the name of this episode is Justice. Before I get started, let me send out my love and condolences to everyone that was affected by Hurricane Irma, Hurricane Harvey, and Hurricane Jose, Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. If you guys can offer, support and, in any way, shape or form, please do so. Right now we really are going through some hard times in our country, and we definitely need to pull together. So let me begin with the review. The episode opens up where it left off. Kelly is being interrogated by the DA. So pretty much the DA, has played the 911 call where supposedly someone is, supposedly Ramsey is saying, Kelly, no, but we can definitely tell that that's not Ramsey's voice, but she's going by the evidence. And I definitely remember, from the last episode that the officer asked, "Are you on a cell phone?" Question is, can they track their cell phone? And if they probably track it, they'll probably find out that it wasn't Ramsey's number. But pretty much the DA is like, interrogating Kelly, and is really trying to pin this whole murder on her. She's asking questions like, did you ever have sex, and how many times did you over his house, and, just really trying to dig to try to get Kelly to slip up and convict herself. But Kelly's like, look, I don't know what you're talking about. I had nothing to do with this. I didn't murder him. I wasn't even there. And next thing you know, she starts pulling out this bag. There was a letter with Kelly's handwriting that had Ramsey's blood on it. Then there was her hairbrush, and it was blood on it. And then it was her pen from her job. And she said that pen was actually lunged in his chest along with a knife. So it's plainly obvious, and we know how that happened because Travis went to Kelly's house before he went to Ramsey's. So he can easily have taken all of her stuff and could have planted there to try to get her to take the fall for the murder. So it gets to the point where, like Kelly gets to the point where she decides she wants a lawyer, and she's like, "Look, I'm just trying to help you." And she's like, "No, you're trying to bury me." She's like, "No, you buried." Like, "No, you're the one who buried him after you murdered him." And I'm like, see, this DA is reaching, and pretty much that's what they do. Their mission is to get a conviction, or if you ask for a lawyer, then you actually have legal representation there to argue your case for you. But if you bear by yourself, they are going to try to shut you down. So that's pretty much what went on in that scene. Then I'm going to talk about Marcy and Brad. Marcy and Brad talk. She's at this restaurant, Pickles. She's talking about she's found a new lawyer, to help her get a divorce from Randall. And she was like, "How's Alex?" And he's like, "Marcy, don't do that." And she's like, "Look, I just want to know." She's like, "No, you're trying to get info." And he's like, but then he says that, but if you must know, I'm thinking about going back there tonight. And he kind of like told her that he's sorry, whatever, but then she lets him know that she's at the restaurant. She asks him to come and, have dinner with her. He shows up, and we see that Marcy's drinking water because, Marcy's pregnant. And she sits down with Brad. Her and Brad go back and forth. And within this conversation, we can pretty much say that, Brad is to the point where he is trying to move on and trying to make things right with Alex. But he then also tells Marcy that he always felt guilty every time they had sex, because Marcy was saying she wanted to get him drunk so he can take advantage of her because she likes it when he's drunk, and she loves how he, puts it down on her. But Brad is like, no, that's not happening. You know, I'm not drinking. I'm not doing any of that. You know, I always felt guilty every time we had sex. So it's to the point where, you know, I really want to, you know, get back with Alex. You know, we can't do this anymore. So if we can just have dinner, we can do that. But if not, I'm going to leave. And it just crushed Marcy. And I'm like, Brad, you are such an asshole. Because at the end of the day, you know that Marcy has developed feelings for you. And she actually confessed that, you know, during their conversation that, you know, she's gotten feelings for you. And now she can't stand seeing him with Alex. You know, based off of everything Alex did, you know, she has, you know, she pretty much sees Brad for the good man he is. But yet, she knew at the end of the day that Brad loves Alex, but it's to the point she doesn't even want him to go back to Alex now. But, you know, Brad was like, look, either we can have dinner or I'm going to go. So she said that, look, it's gonna hurt me either way, so just leave. Just go on. And we see that she ends up eating, so we see that after she eats, she gets a visitor. Guess who it is, y'all? Ian. You know, the criminal attorney that works with Larry at the firm. He was like, and Larry is very aggressive and is real smooth too. I mean, he had that smile, like, hi, you know, how you doing? Like, we met earlier today. He's like, so why you dining alone? And she's like, well, you asking a lot of questions. He's like, hey, I'm just curious, you know. I mean, I like to get to know you better and see what's up with you. So they pretty much go back and forth. You know, Ian finally sits down and they start talking. But, you know, Marcy is very sharp, though, because she's like, okay, I see where you're trying to go with this, but, you know, hold your horses. And, you know, him being a lawyer, he definitely has a way with words, and he definitely has, he definitely got a lot of swag. So Marcy's feeling it, but then she's also, you know, kind of, you know, she's kind of peeping it too. But while they're talking and everything, he asks her what she does, and she says she's a realtor, and he's like, okay, I'm interested in buying a house. And then she asks him what he does and what kind of lawyer is he. He told her that he's a criminal attorney, and he says that I'm one of the best. So she's like, oh, okay, so, you know, if I were to hire you as a lawyer, would you be able to get me off if I kill someone? And he's like, well, who are you planning to kill? She's like, oh, I got somebody. And he's like, you're joking, aren't you? She's like, of course I am. I'm like, your ass get bitch. But, you know, they pretty much exchanged cards, and, you know, because Marcy was on her way to leave anyway, but we actually see that, yeah, they finally interact, and it's obvious. It is so obvious that Ian wants Marcy. And Marcy asks for the check, and the waiter lets her know, oh, he already paid it. So he was already peeping her there and pretty much paid her check and then went to go talk to her. I'm like, see, that damn Ian is smooth, so we got to watch out for his ass. Yeah, so, but it was cool seeing them interact. Then we get a scene with Natalie and Esperanza, and I can say Esperanza is really making me sick. Because here she goes again. They're talking about the aftermath of Kelly being arrested. You know, Justice has been upset, and he hasn't been able to calm down since he's been at Natalie's house. And, you know, then she's like talking about, and then Marcy, and then like Esperanza starts talking about, oh my God, a gun. What would possess her to do that? What was she thinking? And all of this. And I'm like, obviously, you have not been paying attention to her when she's been telling you about what Travis has been doing. As a matter of fact, your stupid ass was the one who told her to get a restraining order. But so happened, he ended up getting one, his went through before hers did. So, but then she says that, you know, have you gotten work? But then Esperanza says that, okay, when I get to work, I'll, you know, do some fishing to find out what's going on. And then, you know, Natalie told her that, yeah, I've already talked to Lucian. And she's like, well, and then like Esperanza still, why does she have a gun? What would possess her to ever want to buy a gun? You know, it's a good thing that, you know, that no one was hurt. I mean, her son picked the gun up and shot it. I mean, anything could have happened. You know, I mean, yeah, I understand the nature and the safety of the children, But at the end of the day, you knew she had an issue, and that's why she had the gun. And at this point, you know, Natalie is not saying anything, and it's really starting to anger me. But then finally, she comes out and lets her know that, look, I was the one who told her to buy the gun, you know. But obviously, she didn't, you know, she doesn't know about, you know, getting a safe and about training, so that's probably why the gun was out. And then, like, Esperanza's like, well, yeah, because even the whole time I was with Eddie, Eddie always put his gun up. And, you know, he always had the safe on it. And, you know, now he said, well, Lucia does the same thing. So he's like, yeah, she obviously didn't know what she was doing. Personally, I'm still kind of questioning how the gun get in the house anyway, because Kelly has no money. Kelly is flat broke. She's practically been ripped off. And it's just still in my mind, like, how the hell did the gun even get there? But then she kind of let her know that, you know, I told her to get the gun because of everything she's been going through with Travis. And then, like, Esperanza's like, you mean little Travis? See, Esperanza, this is why you need your ass whooped. Because you know how serious the situation is, and now you just playing stupid. I mean, to be honest with you, these women are a mess. They really are. They're supposed to be friends, but when certain things come to the surface, they all choose sides, they all change faces, and they all turn their asses up when they don't want to deal with, you know, whatever it is that's going on with someone else. They are a mess. They really are. So right now, Kelly rotting in jail because she took Natalie's advice. She's in jail because of Ramsey, but then, you know, the whole gun situation was due to the fact that she listened to Natalie and, you know, when Natalie talked her into, you know, getting a gun from her homegirl. And then on top of it, you know, she talked to Esperanza about getting a restraining order, but it just so happens Travis went through before her. So it's like both of them are just acting blum dumb as to what's going on, and they're just like, well, and they're just kind of like, dumbfounded as to why Kelly's in the situation she's in. But then they end up drinking, drinking some wine and getting it, you know, and that was pretty much the end of that scene right there. Yeah, because I've had it with them, like for real. I mean, as much as I love Natalie right now is, you know, in this situation, yeah, she's pretty much doing a lot. Well, mainly because she got Esperanza there. Then we go to the precinct. We get a scene with Eddie and Lucian. Yo, shout out to my boy Joel Rush, who plays Eddie, because he is becoming more and more arrogant, more and more, more and more treacherous, and just more and more, nonchalant about the whole situation. Because when the scene opens up, this crazy son of a bitch is pissing in the corner of the interrogation room. And, then after he gets finished, Lucian comes in, and he extends his hand to shake his hand, and he's like, oh no, you can sit right there and you can continue to smell your own piss. And I hope it makes you choke. So then he starts talking up. So then, Lucian starts bringing up the whole case, and man, Eddie's file has so many pages that it looked like the Holy Bible. That's how much criminal violations and violations and crimes that this man has done throughout his whole tenure as being a police officer. I mean, it was thick. And he says that, man, we got a whole bunch on you, man. You think you gonna beat this? Are you out your mind? Then he just started naming things about, taking money from drug dealers, buying prostitutes, working with a cartel and organized crime. Like, he was just naming so much stuff. And then, all of a sudden, Eddie is still trying to get Lucian to admit that he's FBI. And he's like, look, and they're like, Lucian's like, hey, they got you. What can I say? He's like, look, won't you stop saying they and just say you? You know, won't you just man up and take responsibility and say that you're FBI? Why don't you want to say that? And then, you know, and the funny thing about it also, when he presented, you know, Eddie the file, and the file was thick, he's like, oh yeah, it's thick like my women. I'm like, this fool is retarded. Like, even in one of the most crucial times where you need to be serious, he's still throwing jokes and he's still talking big shit. So pretty much, you know, he tells them that, you know, we got tapes, you know, there's informants that come forward and talk about some of your criminal dealings, you know, one of them being Pete, of course, and, you know, people who have come forward to talk about, you know, some of the crazy shit that Eddie has done. So then, all of a sudden, Eddie decides to flip the script and was like, you know what, I want to play a game. And then Lucian pretty much takes on the challenge, like, you know what, I like games. Let's play a game. Let's do that. He was like, okay, we're both from the military, right? And we both, you know, after our stint in the military, we went to Iraq, you know, to do private security. Now, what's funny is that I went to Cincinnati and you went to Virginia. And you had a 2-year gap before you came here. What was going on in those 2 years, Lucian? And he's like, so pretty much. So Lucian's like, oh, so this is the game. It's a game of questions. And Eddie's like, no, it's a game of facts. Because before I left Cincinnati to come here, there was a 3-year gap in mine. What do you think I was doing, Lucian? What do you think I was up to? And like, you know, Lucian is like, oh, so this is what this is. It's kind of like this tit for tat thing. And he's like, yeah, it's pretty much like, I do you and you do me. And then like, Lucian's like, oh no, bro, I don't get down like that. I'm like, tell his ass, Lucian, because Eddie plays you damn much. And then pretty much he says that, look, and he says that, well, I'm going to tell you this. That 3-year gap, that's your homework for the day. Now get the hell out of my face. I'm like, Eddie, you are just asking to get your ass beat. Because Eddie is just evil to the end. Even when you in interrogation and you have been arrested, you still walking around with this, with your nose in the air like you the shit, and it's crazy. So then after Lucian leaves, he runs into Stevens. Stevens tells him that Lamont, who I think is their boss, that he's coming down and he called about Eddie, and then he's like, why the hell is he coming down here? He'll blow our cover. And he's like, I know. And I'm like, and it just kind of read me that Stevens is too comfortable with this, because I think Stevens is behind it. Stevens wants Moscata, and he is not keen with Eddie going down, Eddie being convicted. So I think he's playing, devil's advocate, where he's trying to get Eddie off so he can continue to so he can continue the case the way he wants it to go. And Lucian begins to ask him, did we miss something? Did we do everything? He's like, no, we got everything. We got him. We do. And I'm like, Stevens, you full of shit. You are full of shit, because it's obvious you're hiding something. And the fact that you're so nonchalant when Lucian is very serious about him getting convicted, it just got to the point where I'm just thinking, like, yeah, Stevens is definitely trying to sabotage Lucian, and it's becoming somewhat apparent. So after he talks to Stevens, he gets a call from Natalie. She's trying to get 5 minutes or whatever to talk to him, and she lets him know that, look, Justice is upset, and he pretty much says that, look, I'll be home soon, And that pretty much ends that scene there. So then we see after he gets done with Natalie, he runs into the DA that's been interrogating Kelly. And he was like, look, I need to talk to you about Kelly's case. And she's like, well, you know, there's laws against talking. And he says, well, not in this town it isn't. So pretty much Lucian brings up Travis. And we find out a revelation. The DA knows who Travis is. She's a member of his family's church. So it's like Travis got all of these church minions in different places who are working with him to cover up his image. And it's crazy because she's like, you know, well, I go to his family's church and all of that. But then he lets her know that, look, I think he has something to do with this. He's been stalking her and he's been harassing her. And then she pretty much said that, look, we got a 911 tape. You know, so regardless of what you're saying about Travis, we got proof that Kelly has something to do with this. And pretty much Lucian's like, I'm pretty sure that tape is a lie. I don't think it's real. So she's like, okay, well, we'll get to the bottom of it eventually, but, you know, as far as I'm seeing, we got her. So then she also talks about, you know, all of the evidence and stuff like that was there. But then she says that, you know, well, you know, Kelly has decided to lawyer up. But then he asks, like, can I go see her? And first she's like, no. And he's like, okay. And he's like, but second thought, yeah, won't you go see her? You know, she was on her mind, and he's like, look, I'm not playing your game. You know, you want me to go in there and talk to her, think she's gonna slip up and talk. That ain't gonna happen. And then like the DA is like, you trained her well. I'm like, if you don't take your trifling ass on somewhere, woman, you just want a conviction and you don't give a damn whether you right or wrong. Sit your ass down. And then you also working with Travis. Shoot, if anything, I think she was intentionally set up to be the DA so she can make sure that Kelly gets convicted and she doesn't get out. Oh yeah, and then also the DA was trying to say, oh, that Kelly's guilty, and pretty much, and like, you know, Lucian's like, well, that's kind of really so quick to make that judgment call. Because you never know when someone's innocent, which is true. So we see that Lucian goes in there to talk to Kelly. He lets her know that Justice is upset because she asks about Justice. Then he brings up about Travis, you know, and he says that, look, you need to help me with this because do you have anything else that you can bring about, you know, in regards to Travis, you know? And she was saying that, look, I've kind of given you everything that I know. But then she recollected that I remember Travis was crazy pissed when he saw Ramsey at my house. But that was the only time I seen them interact with each other. Well, actually it was twice, you know, once when Ramsey was there, and then the second time, you know, when the two of them like kissed on the porch and he walked up. So it was twice that, you know, Travis and Ramsey ran into each other. But then she's like, but then, you know, pretty much she's saying that, but she says that, you know, I don't even know if he's ever been to Ramsey's house or not. So pretty much Lucian let her know that, look, you need to get a criminal lawyer. And he says, I'll make some calls. But he tells her that, look, don't say a word at all. Do not say anything else until you have legal representation. But then she confesses to Lucian, I have no money. You know, my credit cards, my bank card, everything has been taken. And she's like, and I'm pretty sure Travis has something to do with this. And then Lucian was like, are you sure? Yeah, because I'm not sure Travis has something to do with that. I think Miss Diane, her baby daddy's mom, because his ass, you know, he was up for a parole hearing, and because he got denied, she's mad, and now and we actually saw she was actually at the bank, so she knows you work there. So I'm thinking Miss Diane has something to do with her being bankrupt. But I think in time we're going to find that out. But that's my hypothesis. I think Miss Diane has something to do with that whole thing at the bank. I don't think Travis had anything to do with that. So that's where that scene ended. Then we, you know, just quickly, we had a scene with Alex and Brad. Brad finally comes back. She, you know, puts on her bathrobe, and as soon as she goes out the door, that damn motion detector because we actually see that from the last episode, Randall, aka Psycho Betty, has installed like a camera device, you know, looking at Alex's house, but I think it's like a motion detector. So every time that door opens, that motion detector goes off. So he in bed. As soon as he hears the motion detector, this fool gets out, puts on his pajama pants and his shirt, and goes right over there. And they get in the car. They start talking, and you know, they start making out and everything, and then all of a sudden, he comes over there, like, and then all of a sudden, you see that Psycho Betty comes over there talking his shit. And he's like, you know, because at first, you know, the two of them are talking, and he's like, you know, do you want to come inside? And he's like, I'm thinking about it. And then next thing you know, they start kissing, and then Randall, a.k.a. Psycho Betty, walks into the car. It's like, ugh, y'all nasty. And y'all in public? Oh my God! You know that's illegal, right? And then Alex rolls up the window, and then he's still talking shit. Like, do you know how many times I hit that? How much I banged her out in the shed? You really want to be with this whore, really? And then this fool pulls out his phone and is taping them like, oh, I'm about to put y'all nasty asses on the internet. And then he's just doing all this extra shit, and then, you know, Brad, you know, sends him a video, and it's a video of Brad fucking the crap out of Marcy, and that set him off. And I'm like, yeah, boo-boo, you playing games with Brad. Brad ain't to be fucked with. And now you know that. So, but, of course, Psycho Betty is crazy. You know, he's a sociopath, so he's going to keep going. So, you know, they get out the car and everything, and he's pretty much saying that, you know, he's saying like, yo, Brad, you need to stay away from that hoe. You need to stay away from her. You know, and like, you really going to do this, Brad? Really? This is what you going to do, Brad? You really going to do this? And then the episode ends. Natalie hears a cell phone ring. She gets up and goes sees that Justin is talking to somebody, and then he says that I killed Ramsey. You know, I murdered him in the bathroom and all of this crap. And I'm thinking Travis was on that phone talking to Justice, and I think Justice is trying to make a confession to get Kelly released. But that's what I have, y'all. If I missed anything, put it down in the comments. I'd love to talk to you about it. But yeah, it's definitely starting to get interesting now. So subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you can get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, I started a GoFundMe. Definitely check that out in the description box. Like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with the next episode of Loving You Is Wrong. So until then, everybody, take care.